Let's get some takeaways from the Spurs loss to Dallas. Then bring in our guest, Mike Jimenez. We're going to be discussing Wemby and the DPOY.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Yeah, we'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. Be sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, Ken's 5 Plus app. The list goes on and on. What are we talking about today? Well, we're going to give our takeaways from the Spurs loss to Dallas here at the Frost Center. Then we're going to our guest, Mike Jimenez. We're going to be discussing Spurs Wembanayama, the DPOY, and then talk about you guys, the Locked On Spurs fans. All right, so what happened here last night against the Mavericks? All right, well, the Spurs got the L, 113-107. So what are some takeaways? Well, I'll start off with three, no particular order. Start off with the obvious one, turnovers. This has been plaguing San Antonio all season long, and it reared its ugly head again last night versus Dallas. So the Spurs had 16 turnovers. That ultimately costed the team the game. Now, why do you say that? Well, because they made more threes than Dallas. They outscored the Mavericks in the third, 28-26. They had more rebounds than Dallas, 48-40. So they were pretty much leading in many categories, but it just came down to turnovers. The Spurs addressed that. They just say sometimes they force things. That's been plaguing them this whole season. They got a few more games to get this right, but that's pretty much the biggest takeaway right now. What led them to the loss? Turnover, 16 versus Dallas. Also, let's talk about how they hung in there. You know, that's takeaway number two. You know, for a team, Dallas, that is looking for playoff positioning, getting higher seeds, wanting that momentum going into the postseason, you know, Dallas pretty much could have came in here and just steamrolled the Spurs, but the Spurs did not get steamrolled. They hung in there. As a matter of fact, they were leading Dallas by 4 points at one point. Dallas had a biggest lead at 13. Nevertheless, they did not wilt. They did not fall under the pressure of getting just deer in headlights. It's Luka Doncic, it's Kyrie Irving. No, they outscored Dallas 28-26 in the third period. They outscored them in the fourth by 23-22. It just came down to turnovers, everybody. It really did. As a matter of fact, Devin Vassell told everybody after the game that this team really wanted to beat Dallas. And they got so close. But again, you know, you got to give them credit. They hung in there. They wanted to win. It showed. Just came down to mental errors. Last takeaway, Victor Wembanyama had a double-double. He had 12 points, 11 rebounds, but it wasn't a Victor Wembanyama night where he's just, dominating on both ends of the court. Now, look, it happens. Players have their days. Look like he did tweak his ankle during the game. He's fine. The Spurs staff said that he was actually working out after the game. Nevertheless, Wemby had himself an off night. And that's kind of leads to takeaway number two. Like, Wemby can't be Wemby every single game. I'd love for that to happen. I'm pretty sure you do too. But other guys need to step up. And that did happen. So I had 13 points. You had Trey Jones with 22 points, 19 points for Devin Vassell, 14 points for KJ off the bench. But again, when you're missing that offensive impact that Wemby can bring, it showed during the game. Now, look, defensively, he was fine. He had 10 rebounds. He did have 6 blocked shots on the night. So defensively, he was still a presence. The players said that it was a luxury to have Wemby on the court with them because they know they can gamble, play a little tougher defense on the perimeter, knowing that Wemby's back there. But again, although he had for his standards, a substandard night offensively, defensively, he was there. He still made an impact, but nevertheless, wasn't the complete Wemby on both ends of the court. Spurs really needed him during the game. All right, there you have it from the Frost Center here in San Antonio. Coming up next, we have Mike Jimenez. We're going to be discussing Wemby and the DPOY. Basically, would it be considered a snub if he doesn't get it? And then talk about you guys, the Locked On Spurs fans. That's next right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy and what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit every time, your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. That is ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Also want to talk about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee, San Antonio. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Hit there right now. It's pretty much in between 21 and 6204. That's in that area. You need a latte. You need a cold brew. You need a signature drink like the Mudslinger or the OJ. They got it all. Mini donuts, they got that. Even they even sold out recently. That's how good they are. They have dairy alternatives. They have non-caffeinated drinks. And they have supercharged caffeinated drinks like the Red Bull Infused Lightning Bolt series. I recommend you put the strawberry flavor in it. Look, follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX, Threads, X, Facebook, TikTok. The list goes on and on. They're very fan interactive. And who knows, if you pitch them an idea for a new drink, they may make it in your honor. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's where you got to go, San Antonio, for the best drinks around town. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go there right now, San Antonio, because life is too short for bland coffee.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Michael Jimenez. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. Outside strolling around in San Antonio, I presume.
That's right. I'm at my office here on the Pyramid Building, Northwest Side.
Look at you. Look at it. He's taking time out of his busy schedule to talk to us all things silver and black. He is part of the Alamo City Sports Podcast Network on YouTube. We're going to be discussing that in just a few minutes. As you can see, Jimenez is at work, so we're going to try to keep the time kind of compact here, so he has to get back. But let's go and dive into it. Jimenez, look, everybody's talking about end of the season awards. The big one is the DPOY Defensive Player of the Year. Vegas, as you mentioned on your show, does have Rudy Gobert as the favorite. Wemby himself said that, hey, Rudy, you may get it this year. I think he's almost conceding it. But watch out, I'm going to be it. I'm going to come for it in the following years to come. The point is, he is definitely in the running, but at the end of the day, Jimenez, if he does not get it, is that a major snub? This is something that you're going to go back and, like, we're 20 years from now. We look back at this season and you're like, you know what? What were they thinking? This was a snub of all snubs of NBA awards. Do you think that's what's going to happen? Will he be snubbed?
Yeah, I do think that's what's going to happen. It's kind of reminiscent of like the Oscars whenever it comes to Best Picture. You go back in time 20 years later, and he asks the question, how was this movie the Best Picture when these 3 or 4 others lived longer? They had better they had longer legs, if you will. It's going to be like that with Wemby, because you're going to look back at the statistics and go, yeah, the team was horrible. Yeah, the team did not win. But when he was on the court, he was doing his job as a defensive player because it is an individual award.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of this is coming out because now I'm getting a little bit animated about this because, back in January, February, I wasn't thinking that Wemby had a chance of getting this award. But as time went on, he was showing that he was actually affecting the play. And the analytics suggest that when he's on the court, this team isn't that bad. Okay, It's just when he's off the court, it's a bad team. But we're going to look back at the steals. We're going to look back at the blocks. We're going to look back at all those rebounds. And the fact that Wemby does not have defensive help the way that Rudy Gobert does, I think people are going to look back and wonder what exactly was going on. One last thing, hearing Bill Simmons on The Ringer talk to Ryan Russillo, Simmons, who has a vote, saying that he's not even considering Wemby for the award, which means he might leave him off the ballot altogether. He did that to Jaren Jackson Jr. last year when Jaren Jackson won the award.
Yeah, the stats show he is heads above the rest in blocks. He leads the league in blocks. I mean, he's not even close. He recently recorded over 200 plus blocks already on the season. Leads the NBA in that department. Steals, he's got that. Gravity as far as forcing people to think twice and gravitate away from the rim and the lane. He has that. You go through pretty much not all, but most of the defensive metrics. Wemby is up there. Now, I'm glad you brought up about the team aspect because last thing I checked, Jimenez, It's called Defensive Player of the Year, not Defensive Team of the Year. Now, there's a Defensive Team of the Year. Then, yeah, the Spurs won't win it because they're at the almost at the bottom of the barrel, like 25, 26 ranked defense. But individually, it's what I call Defensive Player of the Year. Wemby gets it. I'm with you. I think you're going to look back years from now at this season and say, what were the voters thinking? Jimenez, how much did the Spurs' poor record come into play here? Because we've heard it even from Draymond Green said that he probably wouldn't pick Wemby because of the Spurs' record.
Well, there's a lot of it. I mean, first of all, the poor record is part of it. If the Spurs were a 500 team, it wouldn't even be a consideration. It'd be like, just coronate him already, crown him already.
Yeah.
500 teams would have already gotten it. They didn't have to be a top 5 or a top 10 team for Wemby to win this award. Secondly, I think the fact that the Spurs did not promote Wemby early on for whatever reason for the All-Star team was a big deal, man, because if you have that all-star tag on him, that accolade right there, I think it would have been easier to have given him this award, but he didn't get it. Now, my question is, not only Defensive Player of the Year, is Wemby going to make an all-NBA team, first, second, or third team? Because I think he's going to make third team. I think it's going to happen.
Third team? Well, in all-NBA, you're talking about, not – yeah,
all NBA.
All NBA.
Yeah, all NBA. Obviously,
NBA,
he'll make one of the all defensive teams. He'll make first team, all defensive team. If they just go at him as bigs, because Gobert plays the same position. But one of the things about Wemby when it comes to his playing of D, just notice what he has done against the big guys. Because I don't see Gobert going out there and try to defend smaller guys. He kind of hangs with the bigs. But we've seen Wemby go out after the point guards. We've seen Wemby go out and stuff Giannis at the rim, stuff Jokic at the rim.
Yeah.
That not a lot of players in the NBA can do that. And I think that Wemby has proven himself to be a force defensively in the league.
Yeah. As mentioned earlier, in a recent post-game press conference, he was asked about Rudy Gobert and the battle for the DPOY. It's like he's conceding that, he may not get it. But I'm glad. Let that fuel him. Let that get him more pumped up. I mean, he definitely uses these little kernels of inspiration to get himself going. But as far as the snub, I think he's going to get snubbed. He will make first team, all defensive team. That's going to be good. But I think at the end of the day, Jimenez, when they reveal the media votes and just the voting in general, I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be Rudy Gobert by a landslide.
I'm going to say something that I think is going to be a little bit odd. What if Victor Wembanyama gets more first place votes than Rudy Gobert, but loses because he's left off of, 5 or 10% of the ballots? It's very possible.
It is possible, yeah. Yeah, it is. And think about this, everybody. He's doing this as a rookie. He's putting these defensive monster numbers as a rookie. So you can only project what he could look in year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. He's going to get bigger, stronger naturally. His game is going to adjust to the league, and I think it's already there. So this is just scary. This is a scary thing if you're the rest of the field in the NBA. But ultimately, I'm with you, Jimenez. I think he will be snubbed. I don't think it'll go to him. I think it's unfair that the voters may be looking at the Spurs record versus the individual numbers. And I think that ultimately is going to hurt him. He is Michael Jimenez of the Alamo City Sportscast on YouTube. Make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. When we get back, we're going to be discussing you guys, Locked On Spurs fans. What are y'all leaving comments on at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page? We have one for Jimenez. Yes, somebody asked me to ask Jimenez something. We're going to do that when we get back. Hey, I want to talk to you about Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be like just around the corner? Well, our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs that are just made for you with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. Let's talk about the 2024 Nissan Rogue. It's perfect for city drives, great escapes. They have the classic exclusive Google built-in is always updating your assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. The Google Assistant, Google Maps, Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3 HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Hey, what about the 2024 Nissan Armada? That will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further with the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, Nissan Armada. Go find it. Go get your next adventure with Nissan. Shop nissanusa.com. Back with Michael Jimenez of the Alamo City Sports Podcast on YouTube. Follow him on X at MJ Acquire Chase. He's out and about walking San Antonio for everybody. He's soaking in nature. All that nature provides San Antonio.
Got to lose weight, so I'm effing cute this summer.
Oh, here we go. All right. On that note, he's going to talk about you guys, the Locked On Spurs fans. You guys are leaving a lot of comments. I wish we could read them all every single day. We can't. We just picked 2. So, with that being said, we have a question for you, Jimenez, because yesterday's Locked On, I had mentioned that you'll be our guest for today. Well, somebody says, okay, well, can you ask your guest today this question? This is from McLean Garrett. He says, can you ask your next guest tomorrow how much he would throw at Dallas to get Luka if he demanded a trade this offseason? Jimenez, take it away. That's for you.
Everything but Wemby. Everything but Wemby. Just take what you want. Take it all. Take our picks. Take our players. Leave Wemby. We're done. That's it. Everything. Take Pop. And everything.
There you have it, McLean. Your question was posed and it was answered by Mike Jimenez. Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I think all Spurs fans will be, okay, well, here's the vault. Here's the keys to every single player's cars and their houses for packing. And except for Wemby, and have at it. But yeah, you have a chance to get Luka. You break the bank. You go for that. Imagine Luka and Wemby together. That'd be just insane. All right, we have a next question from Hector Blanco Jimenez. He says, "Would the 1 through 3 pick and Dev? I don't understand that. Okay. What would the 1 through 3 pick and a Dev?" I think he's referring to Devin Vassell, or Keldon for a Trey Jones. Do you think Atlanta does it? All right, so we get it now, Hector. Thank you, Hector, for that comment. So basically, in a nutshell, if the Spurs land picks 1 through 3 and add in Devin or Keldon for Trey Young, do you think Atlanta would do it? Jimenez, you're the guest. Take it away.
Well, you figure it's going to take 4 picks, 4 first-rounders to make it happen. But when you think of first-rounders, that could be anywhere between 1 and 30, right? So you would imagine that if you knew that one of them was a top 3, that would be valuable enough to say that maybe you don't need to give away 4, maybe you just give away 3. So I would say that a number 3 pick, like let's say it's a 1, 2, or 3, along with a second first-rounder, along with Devin Vassell for Trey Young, that would be pretty close. You'd probably have to have some salary filler in there, Keldon Johnson or somebody to kind of fill it out, or Zach Collins to fill it out. Would I do it? You know, we've talked about in the past who's the untradeable ones, right? Wemby's untradeable. Vassell is pretty darn close to it. In a perfect world,
he's very close.
In a perfect world, we keep on Devin Vassell and have that paired with an elite point guard with Wemby, and then maybe Sohan out there. I don't think it would get the job done, honestly. A number 3 pick. Now, if it was a number 3 pick next year, the 2025 draft, which is completely a lot stronger than 2024, then maybe. But right now, I mean, it's 4 first-rounders or 3 first-rounders and a good player. Top 3, I mean, if they have their heart set on somebody, it might get done with just 2, but I don't think so. I think they're going to want to. I think they're going to want to have their future back, like the movie Draft Day said. Yeah. They're going to want to get those 2 picks that the Spurs have and the swap. But that right there plus Vassell, I mean, it's possible, but it's possible.
Do you think even a number 1 pick this year would do it? Let's just say the Spurs win it again. They win the lottery.
Yes. Okay, now we're talking. A number 1 overall pick changes the game because then
in this year's draft.
And if you don't like a certain player at number 1, they can always flip that 1 for, you know, the number 3 pick and players. So that 1 pick overall is very, very valuable. It's weird right now because the Spurs are in a position right now where They could have 2 first-rounders this year. They could have just one. It's so difficult, man. The ping-pong balls are really determining this team's future. But to get Trae Young, you're going to have to put up some talent. I would hope that talent would be Keldon because I want to keep Vassell. But if Vassell, if you need to trade Vassell for him, you kind of bite the bullet and just do it.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you again for everybody leaving comments at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Hector Blanco, thank you. McLean Garrett, good questions. And Jimenez, we know you're busy. We know you're outside of your job right now, so we're going to let you go. Quickly, what's going on the YouTube side of things with the Animal City Sports Podcast Network?
Hey, we are inching closer to 750 followers on our YouTube page. We restarted the podcast back in January. It's daily, Monday through Friday. It's live from about 10:15 to about 11:30, but it's also available on all the major podcast platforms like Spotify and whatnot later on in the day. It's not dated, so if you listen to it later on the way home from work, it's perfectly fine for you. We talk sports. We do a lot of pop culture. We talk about the baddies. We talk about lots of things that are fun to get into. I know you and I you were commenting on one of my takes about whether I was a jerk at Planet Fitness the other day. It's funny stories that happen in our lives that sometimes drive the show, but it's a good time. And like I said, inching closer. I think we're 6 away from 750.
There you go. Make sure to follow Jimenez on X at MJ Acquired Taste. We'll be back tomorrow. All things San Antonio Spurs as the season winds down. Also, check out Locked On Sports Today, 24/7 streaming YouTube channel, only on YouTube. 24/7 sports every single day. Go check it out. So for Mike Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.